The Irishman is Martin Scorsese's 25th narrative feature in a career that has crossed a span of 5 decades. And he has done it again. This new film of his is pretty much The Wolf of Wall Street meets Goodfellas with the emotional heft of Silence. This movie may clock in at a daunting 3.5 hours, but there are so many factors that come together within this brilliantly constructed narrative to fill this viewing experience up with pure entertainment, as well as a dramatic undertone that is patiently haunting the viewer till it creeps up on you out of nowhere with this emotional drive. It's what makes this so damn engaging, and the runtime dissipates as you become locked into this movie. The first 3 hours of this 3.5 hour epic is this entertaining, organized crime mob drama from the perspective of Frank Sheeran, played by Robert De Niro. The story is a recollection of his memories. We open with Frank sitting down, old and grey and crippled, as he narrates this story of his life, stringing along the different timelines, the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, through flashbacks, and flashbacks within flashbacks. This could have had the problem of being incoherent and very jumpy, but with a fantastic screenplay from Steven Zalen, translated onto screen beautifully by Scorsese's sharp direction and Schoonmaker's lively editing, as well as some pretty effective de-aging technology, they string this movie along seamlessly, where you know where the story is at every point in time, keeping you thoroughly engaged at every corner of the narrative as we follow Frank's journey through his early life. Steven Zalen constructs this narrative to the specific events of Frank's life that shaped him as a person. Scorsese scopes this journey so we can get the full view of his life, making this all the more compelling. We see Frank going up in the ranks. We see his business life so much more than his family life, which is intended. We see him form this sort of father-son relationship with Russell, played by Joe Pesci. And we also see him form a connection with Jimmy Hoffa, played by Al Pacino. And we see the growth and the development of their friendships throughout. We see how these friendships define who he is. And this comes back later when he has to decide where his loyalty lies when his personal life gets in the way of the business side of things. Us, the audience, bear witness the nitty-gritty of this man's life. And because of the terrific acting, the fantastic writing, the sharp direction, the gorgeous cinematography, and the lively editing, this movie is constantly hitting its beats without rushing or dragging. This movie's immersive nature comes from these characters and their dynamic together. There's never a single drop of boredom in this movie with these characters talking for the entirety of the runtime. And it's because of these performances from these high-class actors. They bring these characters to life, and with the situations they're placed in, and the witty dialogue that accompanies them so they can play off each other in natural ways, it makes for some damn entertaining and straight up hilarious scenes. Even with the terrible things these characters do, like shooting people in the face, it's hard to feel sympathy for them. But what keeps you invested into these characters is not just the entertainment value that comes with them, but it's also the way that Scorsese treats these characters with such tenderness. He gives them some form of humanity, whether it's in quiet down-to-earth moments, or he defines these characters by the choices they make in conflict, and what they say or don't say in conflict. And that's what keeps these characters investing to watch, and it's what makes you look at these characters from different angles, which becomes important in the last half an hour. An example of this is Joe Pesci's character who can't have kids with his wife, and so he tries to have that father figure connection with Frank's kids. But they aren't very fond of him, they're very scared of him, and this is delivered in comedic fashion, and it's pretty funny. But it's also sad, because he wants to feel some sort of relevance in his personal life. He aches to be a father figure. We don't just see this with Frank's kids, but we also see it in his relationship with Frank. He even calls Frank his son. Another example is when Frank has to make a phone call to Jimmy's wife, the man he just killed. And it's a very painful scene to watch, just because of what we know as an audience, and Robert De Niro delivering a fantastic performance with how he makes this character come off during this conflict. These comedic elements, these dramatic elements, are humanly defined, and it just makes it so much more better that these characters are so fun to watch, and they deliver so many quotable lines. Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro, and Al Pacino, they deliver one of the best performances of their careers. I do wish a couple of elements were explored a little bit more, but this is Frank's story and he's telling us things the way he perceived them since this is a recollection of his memories. But in saying that, I do wish a couple of elements were explored a little bit more, like with the Peggy character and other family members. Though that never detracted from my investment of this entertaining and dramatic 3-hour ride into someone's memories. It's not until the last half an hour of this 3.5-hour film where Scorsese's endgame comes into full focus. His true intentions with this story creep up on you out of nowhere, breathing in the themes of the story and slowly turning up the dramatic weight volume for emotional effect. The film becomes an introspective reflection on a man's own life, looking at his past as an old crippled man, coming to terms with the consequences of the decisions he made throughout his life. He realizes that his choice to go down a criminal path led him to the end of the road with nothing but troubled memories, regret, and guilt. The existentialism on display in those last 30 minutes plays into our journey with the film and life itself, because the film goes by pretty quick. It's still long, but it goes by pretty quick. Just like his life and all of our lives eventually. You'll be sitting there just like Frank at the end of your life with whatever decisions you made throughout it. And those last 30 minutes are what make this movie so human and so real. And it's what makes the final shot so heartbreaking. There's not much else to say. The Irishman is brilliant. All 209 minutes of it, including the credits, because it leaves you there to reflect on the final shot and then the entire movie. And I know that this film goes for 3.5 hours, but this is a film that I can see myself revisiting a lot for the entertaining side of it and also the dramatically sad side of it. Both of these sides come together beautifully to create this authentic piece of cinema. Martin Scorsese has delivered yet again another classic. And as much as I want Scorsese to just, make movies forever, if this is his last film, then I think he went out with a bang. Okie dokie, guacamole. Let me know what you guys thought about the movie down in the comments. I'd love to hear it. And if you guys like this video and you want to see more, click subscribe and I'll see you later.